Well, hey, everybody. Let's record Mike in the Midwest. Check, check. Think we're good. Let's test this out quick. Test 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's up that up a little bit and then we'll go. Do. Check, check, check. We are good to go. Let's do this. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 99 of Mike in the Midwest, our mini podcast for the amazing patrons just like you of the Be Our Guest podcast. How you doing today? It is Wednesday, May 25th, 2022. We are so very close to the 3-day weekend here in the United States of America. Summer is right around the corner and it is drizzling outside the Be Our Guest podcast studios in beautiful St. Peters, Missouri. But it's okay. It's going to be on and off rain today, about 70 degrees. It's fine. You got to have a little rain there to get the grass green and to enjoy the summer. So things are going pretty well around here. I hope they are for you as well. As always, thank you so very much for your Patreon support that goes to support everything we do with the Be Our Guest podcast. That covers our hosting, our bandwidth, all the costs associated with the podcast. And as our audience grows, and I will tell you a little inside baseball for the patrons here, for you guys, because you are the heart and soul of our show. Our show continues to grow. We do get some metrics from Apple Podcasts and from other places like Spotify and from Stitcher, other platforms that distribute our show. And the awesome thing is that we see growth in our podcast here, still in our 14th year, which is pretty remarkable. That we see that, and it just continues to go up and go up. And even with the saturation of the market with Disney podcasts, when we started, there were probably about 10 of us. And I don't know, but if you look for Disney podcasts now, I would guess that there's at least 100 Disney podcasts, probably more than that. Um, I don't know, probably most of them have 10 or less episodes because it is hard to keep a podcast going. And I applaud everybody who has started a podcast and given it a shot because it's not easy unless you're I'm very lucky that I've had my dad to give me support. If I didn't have my dad, I probably wouldn't have done this more than 5 shows because many times I'm like, I come up with a technical issue that I don't know how to solve. And if I didn't have a radio engineer 5 minutes down the road that does, NFL radio, I wouldn't know what to do. So I give everybody a applause that figures this stuff out on their own because I'm not smart enough to figure it out. I'm just lucky that I had the means to do that, and I'm lucky that you guys have always given us the kind words. You've taken the time to go over to Apple Podcasts and give us a rating and a review. I know I say that, and probably you guys are the ones that have left the ratings and reviews, and that means so much to us because the way it works with Apple Podcasts is it looks on the algorithm and it penalizes shows like us to become popular because what it's looking for on Apple Podcasts, etc., stuff like that, it's looking for shows that are hot right now. So our show is not necessarily going to be hot right now because we have kind of a steady burn. Like we have when you look at our download numbers, they're pretty consistent every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Thursdays when we have the call-in shows come out. And it's a steady burn, where if you're a brand new show, you're going to see a big spike because you don't have anything to go from. And so the algorithm sees a huge percentage jump in your download numbers, and Apple's more apt to feature that kind of a show and to push that kind of a show up higher in the new and noteworthy sections. But we're okay. We're doing very well when you look at the overall numbers in places in travel in the United States. Download numbers were always there in the top 10. So I cannot argue with that for a little show that's out of St. Louis, Missouri. I will take it. And I appreciate it. It's because of you. It's 100%. It's us. That's the way I look at it. Pat yourself on the back. It's our little show. We're all doing it together. How about that? You guys are leaving the ratings. You guys are supporting the show. You guys are spreading the word. You guys are sending in the listener questions. You guys are cruising with us. You guys are hanging out with us at Walt Disney World. You're the friends of the show. You guys are the show. I'm just the guy that gets to sit here and ramble on, and Scott and Pam and Ricky. We take your calls on Sunday nights. Without the calls, those shows on Sunday nights would be totally boring. By the way, little inside baseball, just so you know, you're going to be the first to know. I need to get that on the soundboard. How about just this? That's stupid. That's not nothing. So this Sunday night, I'm going to try to do the live call-in show, but it's probably going to be solo because my buddy Scott, me and Scotty G he just left me. He's not going to be here Sunday night. I don't know if you wanted me to tell everybody this, but this is how it's going to be. We got a question. We're recording the shows on Monday, right? We record the listener question shows on Monday nights. You guys probably know that by now. So Faison, one of our listeners up in Seattle, sent in a question. He's never sailed before, but he was curious because of the podcast cruise talk and all this stuff. He was curious about, what's it like sleeping on a cruise as compared to sleeping on land? What kind of preparations can you do to not get seasick on a cruise? He had all these first time cruiser questions, which were great because, you're curious about these things. You've never been on one of these big Disney Cruise Line ships. And it was great having these discussions. So here's what happens after the podcast, right? So after the podcast, Scott goes to dinner with his family at Culver's. And he was telling me this before the show. He was going to Culver's because they were doing a fundraiser for his daughter's band. And they do this around here too. One time, Mallory's soccer team had a fundraiser at Culver's, or Paige's soccer team, actually, back in the day. It was a long time ago. Anyway, he's telling me like they go to Culver's and get dinner. He's like, I can't get cruising off the mind. He's like, I'm so excited for the podcast cruise. But he tells me, like, I don't know if I can hold off until July of next year. He's like, that is so far away. That's 14 months from now. I'm like, yeah, I hear you. I'm pumped up to cruise. If you're watching live on YouTube as I record this, I have a Disney Cruise Line shirt and hat on today. I've got cruising on the mind too. But he's like, I can't shake this. And so I'm editing. So he's out having Culver's, right? I'm still editing the shows. I have to edit the Monday show or the listener question show. I'm editing the Friday show, which we just recorded. He's having Culver's. I'm starving, but I'm still editing. So I'm like, whatever, you're going to be fine. So he tells me this. So about an hour later, I finish editing. I go get my Taco Bell. I come home. I'm eating my Taco Bell and I get this text. And it says, I'm actually looking at cruises. I'm looking at restricted guarantee fares. Now, if you don't know what that means, a restricted guarantee fare is like a last minute fare that Disney Cruise Line puts out where it's a non-refundable for any reason fare. Like once you buy it, you're in. Like you have to go. If you don't go, you get nothing back. 100% non-refundable. You pay it. If you don't go, too bad, sucker. You don't get any money back. So he says, I'm looking at that and I'm like, you're crazy. I'm like, but I mean, I don't blame you for being crazy, but you're crazy. This is what friends tell each other, right? You're crazy. But not that I've never been crazy in my life. I've done crazy stuff. So he tells me, and then I'm like, so you going to do it? And he's like, no, he's like, I got a golf tournament kind of thing with my brother Saturday. I totally forgot about because he was going to sail this weekend. Okay. For Memorial Day weekend. He has nothing going on other than the live call-in show. Hang on. So he's like, not going to do it. So that's the last I hear from Scott on Friday night. No, this was on Monday night. Tuesday morning, I wake up. I get another text. I'm looking at the cruises again. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're doing it again. So I'm like, you're not. He's like, I think I am. So I said, well, if you're going to do it, let me know because I'll book it for you. Obviously, that's what I do. So he's like, I know. So long story short, this is why I need your help Sunday night. Scott is going to be on a cruise this weekend to the Bahamas. He booked a 3-nighter on the Dream just to get out to sea, just to, have some good dining and fresh sea air and Castaway Cay. Can you argue with Castaway Cay on Memorial Day and see some shows and, all that good fun stuff with his family? So, kudos to Scott. He got his assignment. They're in a Navigator's Veranda stateroom, which is kind of fun. I mean, he got a really great rate on a restricted VGT stateroom. So they'll have a great time and he'll have great stories to share when he gets back next week for the show. So we'll talk about that. But this Sunday night, I need you to call in. If we have a live call-in show, it's just you and me and no Scotty G. I might try to recruit Ricky, but Ricky will probably be doing something with Brian because it's a 3-day weekend. I have no life. We're going to a high school baseball game Saturday, and that's probably the extent of it, other than maybe grilling some hot dogs or something. We don't do a whole lot. we're kind of saving up for the Disneyland trip because the Disneyland trip's kind of expensive. And so we're kind of in that thing where if you take a big trip, you kind of hunker down for a few months before that, kind of cut corners here, there, and everywhere where you can, and then you can take the vacation. I think we all kind of do that. So that is the plan. So Sunday night, if we do a live call-in show, which I'm planning on doing right now, unless something comes up, I do need you guys to call. So patrons especially, I'm sending out the bat signal. Give me a call. Let's talk about Genie Plus because we have a thoughtful Genie Plus discussion on Friday's podcast, which you can continue into the Sunday night live call-in show. We can play. We could play what 5 and 10. We haven't played that show in a while, that game in a while. We can talk about all kinds of topics. We could give me Disneyland tips. I'm ready because we're gonna do a lot of Disneyland talk on Friday's show. We can talk about because Cosmic Rewind will have opened on that weekend. We could talk about whatever you want. We could talk about the Year of a Million Dreams, your favorite promotion, nighttime parade, whatever you want to talk about Sunday night. But let's talk Disney because I love taking your calls, but I'm just begging for that right now. So anyway, that's what we have. What else is going on around here? Let's see. It's the end of the school year, so it is a happy time. Always a happy time around here when your wife is a school teacher. She is wrapping up school on Friday with her students. So she has 2 more days after today. Here's the weird thing about her school district, right? And I taught in this school district with her for 17 years. We both taught. It's Ferguson Florissant. And you want to talk about a dumb move? And this is just dumb. There's no other way to say it, but it's dumb. Her kids are done. They have a half day on Friday because obviously it's the 3-day Memorial Day weekend, unofficial start to summer, right? So the kids are done on Friday. The teachers have a full day on Friday. So they have a half day like to work in their classrooms. The teachers have a half day professional development day on Tuesday after Memorial Day. A half day professional development day on the Tuesday after Memorial Day. How many teachers do you think are going to show up on Tuesday for 3 hours to do professional development when summer has already started? That's probably not going to happen. I don't think many are. And here's the weirdest thing too. Okay, you want to hear another weird thing that they do in their school district? This is totally just Mike in the Midwest just ranting here. So they have like staff meetings in their school because they've been in person like most schools all year, but they they do their staff meetings while everybody is at the school. They do them by Zoom. So everybody's sitting in their classrooms looking at a screen, but everybody is at the school. How weird is that? I don't know. If I was in school, if I was still teaching, I would be making fun of everybody. I'm sorry. That's what I did when I was there. I did it in a cute way, so I never really got fired. I would just come around and just say, "What are we doing? Why are we all here together if we're going to stare on screens? Why can't we just all do this at home in our pajamas?" That's what it's for. Anyway, so they do stuff like that. Yeah, but Mallory gets out of school. I think she has to go back to school after Memorial Day because they got to make up, I think, 2 or 3 snow days. She's kind of bummed out. But Thursday, they have a big awards ceremony Thursday night. So I get to go to that with her. So we're excited for that. Friday, they have a 8th grade because 8th grade's, the end of the middle school years. Activities day. They go to our big St. Peter's Recplex, which in our town, we did, when we moved out here, we didn't know, man, we have a Recplex. I mean, it's like an Olympic. They built this for like an Olympic competition, not the Olympics, but an Olympic festival back in the day. I mean, it's got unbelievable facilities, a couple of ice rinks, Olympic sized swimming pool, platform diving. It's got everything. And they're going to get to all go there for that day and have some fun. And the thing is, so we saw this the last couple of years when we picked her up from school, is that the 8th graders have to have these posters that they put along the campus entryway, like where the buses come in and the cars come into the campus. We have been working on Mallory's poster all week because it's got to look right. When you have a daughter, this is hugely important. Like if we had a son, it probably wouldn't matter too much. You could just probably get a piece of poster board, put Mike, good luck, Mike, on there, and you're probably done with it. No, not when you have a daughter who's a cheerleader. It had to be a work of art. So Picasso, and I'll post a picture of it on Instagram. But my wife, because I am not artistic, I am not creative, I'm not artistic, I'm nothing like that. But my wife finally got that sucker done last night at about midnight, and this thing is beautiful. God help us if it rains on Friday and this thing gets wet or gets messed up because it is beautiful. I want to put this thing in the garage and keep it. I want to laminate it. I want to put it in plexiglass. It is awesome looking. I want Pam to make an Etsy store and sell these things. They're so good. So that's what Friday is going to be. I got to go up there and take her picture as she gets out of school on Friday next to her sign or poster or whatever it's called. It's got like little stakes to go into the ground. But yeah, that's what the eighth graders do. And I think then they go to Dairy Queen because there's a Dairy Queen. Is this not small town America? This is Mike in the Midwest. You go to Dairy Queen right after school because there's a Dairy Queen right down the street. So that's kind of what's going on around here. Again, Memorial Day weekend. I hope you have better plans than us. I would love to go to Branson to go down to Silver Dollar City, but I don't think that's happening. I think we're just gonna have some family over, grill some hot dogs, watch some baseball. We have a great high school baseball game at the H. Our high school baseball team, if they win on Saturday, they go to the state quarterfinals. So we'll be at the H, which is the H is our campus, Francis Howell. I love it. So we'll be up there. Last year, they said they had 1,200 people for this game. And so they said, get there early and bring your chairs because it's going to be packed and the weather's supposed to be super nice. So we're going to watch our baseball team. And what's ironic is there's only 8 teams left in the state. Francis Howell, our high school, is playing Francis Howell Central. So we're playing the team across the street. So even though it's a quarterfinal state game, so we'll be doing that on Saturday. And then who knows what else the rest of the weekend. We'll find something to do. We're not going to cruising like Scott, but we can't all be Scott. Okay, so last week we don't have any feedback from last week. Let me tell you a little bit about last week's show. Kind of weird. Last week I talked about, well, I know the topic wasn't great. I get that. I just got excited because the Cardinals were on TV when I was recording. And I like that. It brought back a lot of memories because I did spend a lot of time with our basic cable watching the Mets and the Braves and the Cubs during the day because there was more day baseball on when I was a kid, and especially the Cubs. Harry Carey and Steve Stone. I watched so many games on WGN. And then right as I finished recording, somebody in the chat mentioned, you forgot to mention on WGN every morning you would watch the grand prize game with Bozo the Clown. Yeah, I watch it every morning before I went to school. And so do you remember that? Like if you had basic cable and you would put on WGN, that channel out of Chicago. So you would have, I don't know, was it the Bozo the Clown show? I don't even know what the name of the show was, but every day I'd be locked into the grand prize game. Remember, I was a pitcher, so I was always sure I could win that thing if I was there. You'd have these ping pong balls and you would have to throw them in these buckets. And the first bucket basically was just dropping it in, just like at your foot. And then they get progressively further out, but they were not that far. And like you'd win a bicycle or something if you got in the last one. And that clown was crazy looking, like it would give you nightmares. But the grand prize game, like I always wanted to go up to Chicago, play that game, get me a bike and come home. But I totally forgot that, but that was on the same channel. Nothing to do with baseball during the day. But here's the thing. Nobody left feedback. So totally sorry if you didn't enjoy that show. My apologies for that. Not a great topic. So that's my fault. Also, YouTube sent me a message saying that they made that video for that show private because like there was certain privacy issues with the content of the video, which I mean, what? I mean, did I talk about anything private on that episode? I don't think I did. Maybe it was the title, Let's Score Some Runs. I don't know. That was just what Harry Carey always said in the 7th inning stretch. Like he would sing, "Take me out to the ball game." See, you got that if you ever watched a game on WGN. Harry Carey would famously up in the radio booth or the TV booth, he would call the game. But then in the 7th inning stretch, he would stand up, he would grab a microphone and he would sing, "Take me out to the ball game." And if the Cubs were losing, or, obviously behind, he would at the end of the singing, "At the old ball game, let's score some runs." That's what he would always say. And then the game would continue. And I just remember that. It's like burned into my brain. But apparently, I guess maybe that title was inappropriate. I don't know. I was just going with the Harry Carey quote. Sorry. So the algorithm maybe didn't like me. This world is so weird. I'm so old. I don't get it. But this is just Mike in the Midwest. Okay, so today, Trisha asked a question over in the Patreon Discord, which if you're not over there, come on over to the Patreon Discord, come over to the Be Our Guest, just the whole podcast group Discord. It has like 400 people hanging out over there. Also, if you're cruising with us, come over to the cruise Discord. And also we have one for the lizards. So hang out with us. I'm trying to use that more and more. I'm trying to make sure I'm always over there. It's fun to have the chat up. Anyway, Trisha up in Wisconsin, who's speaking to the Discord, hosts a great trivia every day on the regular Discord. Hang on, I need to drink a sip soda here. Said, sorry, this is now as formal as Be Our Guest podcast. She wanted to know if I collected anything as a kid. Now, I was thinking about this for the last week. I really didn't collect a lot because I don't think that I had a huge collection of collections. Like I didn't have a lot of collections, but I did come up with a few things. The biggest thing that I did collect, and I mean, you guys can probably figure this out. I collected baseball cards like nobody's business because I was right in that age, right? I was born in 73, grew up in the 80s, late 70s into the 80s, and baseball cards were everywhere. Of course, I grew up at a baseball diamond. I mean, that's what I did. I played on all kinds of little league. Well, actually, I didn't play little league. I played Corey League, which was like little league. But I was always up at I did a episode early, an episode called about Wee Hop baseball fields where I grew up playing ball, 11 fields at this one complex. And after every game, I get a pack of baseball cards and a Pepper Belly. And Pepper Belly was Fritos with chili and cheese on top. Oh God, so good. But yeah, so I take my baseball cards home and I still have them. And I'll post some pictures on Instagram of my collections. And here's what I remember about those collections. So I have some that I put into boxes, and they're boxes that were made kind of like little file cabinet boxes for baseball cards. But my earliest baseball cards, I remember that my grandma, now not my grandma that I talk about so much on my dad's side, my grandma Rallman, but my grandma Eileen, who was my mom's mom, she bought me some like photo albums. In what I did with my baseball cards, my very early baseball cards, is that I put my baseball cards in photo albums. Now here's kind of a educational thing that I did with my baseball cards back in the day, is that as I got them, I sorted them, of course, by team. So I put them into the photo albums by team, but I also put them by league. So I put the American League teams and the National League teams. I also put them by division. So I put the National League East, the National League West, and there wasn't a Central back then, I don't think. So the American League East, American League West, National League East, National League West. And then I put them alphabetically, like by player. So these are like very, very organized cards. And I'd have to keep reshuffling them as I got different cards. But that's the thing is, back then I loved doing that. And I loved reading the back of the card. It wasn't just about the picture on the front. Most baseball cards back in the 80s had like little did you know facts on the back of the card. And I loved looking at the stats or seeing where players that I liked, excuse me, like, for example, Bruce Sutter was one of our great relievers for the St. Louis Cardinals and closed out the 1982 World Series, but he pitched for the Cubs earlier in his career. Like, you saw that on the back of the card. And so those kind of things were super interesting. And is just somebody, remember, this was pre-internet. This was pre 7,000 channels of TV, pre-streaming. You didn't have as much content to consume. I would go to the library, but baseball cards were just like little snippets that you could easily digest and you could hold in your hand. And I love just, flipping through a baseball card, reading the back and just, learning everything I could about these heroes, because baseball players were definitely my heroes. So I collected baseball cards and I collected them for years and years. And of course, as I got into middle school, and this is what middle school, so that was kind of more elementary school. In middle school, everybody thought they were going to get rich on baseball cards, right? I had a good friend. His name was Ryan. I played ball with him. He played second base on my team. And he was going to be a millionaire with baseball cards. He always had the Beckett's Guide. And if you don't know what that is, that was a magazine that came out monthly. And it told you exactly the value of every baseball card each month, how it would change. And I remember, like, I had an Eric Davis rookie card, and that one was worth a lot, at the time. It was, I don't know if it's worth anything now, but I had a couple of those and I still do. I mean, I never really got rid of them. But, you had these cards and you when you're like in 7th or 8th grade, if that card's worth $15, I mean, you're just like Daddy Warbucks. You think, man, this thing's gonna be worth $1,000 in 10 years. So it was kind of fun, always speculating on baseball cards, the perceived value. They're worth cardboard. But we had a good time with that. And you always thought you were going to be rich and you tried to trade and stuff like that. I wasn't much a trader. I was more, I just liked to have the players that I liked. It wasn't necessarily about trying to make money. For me, I'm a baseball fan, so I like to have my favorite players. That, by the way, side tangent, that's why I'm terrible at fantasy football. I like to draft the players that I like. I will draft Mizzou players like nobody's business, and they're not necessarily good players in the NFL all the time. So I stink at fantasy football. So I quit playing like 10 years ago, even though I did win a couple times. Anyway, so other things that I collected. Another thing that I was thinking back that I collected as a kid. Now, this is something I think will hit with everybody. Do you remember sticker books? Because I collected stickers and I had one and my sister had one. My sister's 4 years younger than me. We both had, growing up at the same time, we had a sticker book. And I remember specifically getting these at Venture, which is a store that was like Target, like a department store. And so it had different like colorful pages in it, but the pages were kind of slick, almost kind of waxy. And you would put these stickers that you would get in the sticker book, and you would just kind of collect them. So as you would get a sticker at school, and stickers were used highly is highly motivational tools in this time in the 80s. You might get a scratch and sniff, you might get a puffy, like you might get a googly-eyed sticker. There's all kinds. You might get one of those silvery ones that were kind of like three-dimensional or almost not hydro, but how would you say that? Like a they were just like silver and they almost look like 3D. But you would get those stickers. There were just all kinds of stickers were a big deal in the 80s. I mean, you could motivate kids with stickers in the 80s, but like we had sticker books. And the thing was with these sticker books, you would take your stickers and you would carefully take it off your paper that you got an A on. You put it into your sticker book, but you would then with these waxy pages, you a few times, probably not too much, but you could rearrange your stickers. And then what you would do too is that we had a place called Kimball's in Florissant, which was right there on St. Francis and in downtown. We called it Old Town Florissant, where it was a stationery store. But grandma would take us to Kimball's and they sold sticker packs. So you could go down to Kimball's and you could buy sticker packs of like the Smurfs, or I remember buying a sticker pack of Pac-Man. So you would get a sticker pack that had Pac-Man, it had the ghosts, it had power pellets, and then you would like design a page in your sticker book with Pac-Man chasing the ghosts with munching on some power pellets. You could get ball players, you could get whatever. I mean, they had sticker packs for everything, and a lot of times you would get those for like a birthday. They would be great stocking stuffers at Christmas. But your sticker book became something that was a creative outlet for you. Not only did you put the ones you got because of achievements, because of schoolwork, or you just kind of came across them environmentally, but then you got the ones that you purchased. We sold them at our skating rink that I worked at. We sold stickers, and I would get those out of the vending machine. You would also get them out of those little machines where you drop the quarter in, twisted the silver thing, and they would pop out. That's where I got a lot of my stickers, actually. But sticker books were another thing. So I don't want this to go too long because I am trying to keep Mike in the Midwest to 30 minutes. So one other thing, I didn't collect these. These kind of came out after I was collecting. But when I was working at the roller skating rink, there was something that came out that was, again, I was too old because I was working at the rink. I really wasn't running it. I was like 16 at the time. But we had something that hit hard, and it came real fast and it went away real fast. But I came up with the idea to use this to have a really huge night at the skating rink. There was this thing, and I don't know if you remember them. They were called Pogs, Pogs. I don't even know what that stood for. They were like little milk caps. And somehow you would play this game where you would flip these things like bottle caps, and you would have like if yours landed a certain way, like you won, you got to keep the other guys. Well, one night at the skating rink, we had a Pog tournament where kids could bring in their Pogs, they could play against each other. And somehow we made it so you didn't lose your pogs. You just like won merchandise and sodas and pizzas and stuff at the skating rink. We had a ton of kids. They all played their pogs and they had these pog slammers, but kids collected these pogs like nobody's business. Like I remember it was hot, but the thing I remember about pogs is how quickly it became like just red hot. And then, as I recall, how quickly it burned out. Like, because I thought, let's do this again in 6 months. And 6 months later, nobody had them anymore. Like most things kind of build slowly and then drop out slowly. Sorry about that. But this thing I just remember like came out of nowhere and then it was just gone. I mean, it fell off a cliff and it was gone. So we had pogs. So those are some of the things that I collected: baseball cards, stickers and sticker books. Didn't collect pogs, but I wonder if you did. So here's what I want to know. And if you want to be really cool, call into the live show on Sunday night and tell me about your collections, because they'll be like, everybody who's not a Patreon will be like, what are you talking about? And I'll be like, well, we talked about that on Mike in the Midwest. It'd be kind of fun. But hey, on the feedback, so we could talk about this next week. What did you collect? I love this, is the kind of stuff I love hearing because I am so nostalgic. I love retro stuff. So let me know what you collected, especially where you're from. Was it something that maybe people in your area collected more than other people? Let me know in the comments. I would sure appreciate that. I appreciate spending this time with you, this 30 minutes. Thanks for taking the time. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you have a very safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. I know that this weekend is the unofficial kickoff to summer. We always look forward to having fun with our friends and family, which I hope you do. But also, the reason for the weekend is to take the time to remember those who have given the ultimate sacrifice so that our country can be the greatest country in the world. I know that we've had some rough times this past week. We've had a tragedy down in Texas. Horrible. I was a school teacher. Makes me want to cry to think about what happened down there. So please say a prayer for those families because they are suffering as I have. I've kept them in my hearts and I've been praying for those families in that community so hard. Please, do what you can. And, I don't want to bring you down because that's not the what this show is about, but do remember those folks who have given the ultimate sacrifice for our amazing country, that we get to have something like this, that we get to make such great memories with our family, and that I get to be such great friends with you guys. I really appreciate our friendship, whether it's virtual, whether we've met in person. It means a lot to me. So thank you so much for being on the other end of this, for being a friend of mine, and for making this so special for me. I'm never gonna take that for granted. So you guys get out there, and sorry to bring that down. Now let's bring it back up. You guys get out there and go kayaking, grill an extra hot dog for me, listen to some great music, and have a great weekend with your friends and family. Thanks so much for supporting Mike in the Midwest and the Be Our Guest podcast. Stay safe, stay healthy, and happy summer. All righty. I'll see you guys later.